Notre Dame's athletic director has weighed in on the future of the college football playoff model, and a fight is a brewing among college football's heavyweights. Hi, I'm Matt Moscona, the host of After Further Review on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, syndicated throughout the state of Louisiana, also the host of Locked On LSU and publisher at LouisianaSports.net. Thanks for finding Overtime here on the channel, where we discuss all things college football, so please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. You might be sitting there thinking, why do I care about what the Notre Dame athletic director thinks? Well, I don't blame you. Notre Dame has chosen to exist as an independent and not within the confines of a conference. And so my opinion is their opinion shouldn't be considered. However, Notre Dame is a big enough brand in the grand scheme of college football. And as everything moves forward in the world of television contracts, especially with the postseason, you want Notre Dame to be involved and they have to be included. They played for a national championship just this past season. So their opinion is going to be heard and they get a vote at the table, where you have the 10 FBS conference commissioners and the Notre Dame athletic director who all have a vote. So what the Notre Dame athletic director says has merit because he's got a vote in how the postseason goes. So what he says does matter. Well, Pete Bevacqua gave an interview to Pete Sampson of The Athletic and said, quote, I happen to think there should be an automatic qualifier for the Power 4 conference champions and an automatic qualifier for the highest rated G5 champion. But then, whether it's 12, 14, or 16 teams, I think you have to earn it on the field, and those should be at-large berths. That's the best way. So Pete Bevacqua, the Notre Dame athletic director, is joining Greg Sankey, the ACC, the Big 12, basically everybody else in saying, no, I want a 5-11 model. Just to explain this very quickly in case you're not up to speed with what's being proposed. If college football goes to a 16-team playoff, there's really two different proposals. One is the 5-11 model, meaning you'd have 5 automatic qualifiers. The Power 4 conference champion and the highest rated champion from the G5. So the SEC, the Big 10, the ACC, the Big 12 champion would have auto bids, and then the highest rated G5 champion would have an auto bid. Then there would be 11 11 at-large qualifiers after that, just based on what the committee said or whatever ranking system they use. There would be 11 at-large. The other is what the Big 10 is proposing. The Big 10 is proposing a 4-4-2-2 model. 4 automatic qualifiers for the Big 10, 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC, 2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12, and then 3 at-large spots after the G5. So a G5 champion, then 3 at-large spots, and that would make up your 16. Greg Sankey at SEC Football Media Days lobbied very hard for the 5-11 model, and we're seeing a little bit of a clash of the heavyweights here because the decision to change the format can't go forward in the bylaws, by the way, without the Big 10 and the SEC agreeing. So what's going to be such an interesting flex here is who ultimately wins, because you have what is by far the two power leagues in revenue and championships and everything. And the Big Ten's won the last 2 national championships. The SEC has dominated the sport for a quarter century, if not longer. The revenues between the Big Ten and the SEC are comparable and dramatically outpace every other league. So you can't move college football forward without the Big Ten, but you also can't move college football forward without the SEC. They just have those 2 leagues own all of the biggest brands. So they have to be in lockstep. But right now, they both feel like they have the power position, tons of leverage, and are trying to move forward with their approach, even though they disagree. What's interesting about Notre Dame's stance is that's another that joins in with the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, basically everybody except the Big 10. So the real question is, will college football be able to drag the Big 10 kicking and screaming into a 5-11 model, or do we reach an impasse and we just stay at 12 in the current model? Now, if you're new to the channel, you probably haven't heard my opinion yet on how I feel about postseason and college football, but this is a very hot button for me. I'm going to go to 32 teams. I love college football deeply. So I'm doing this video, this channel. I've grown up a college football fan living in Louisiana most of my life. I'm sure by the nature of the fact that you're watching this, you're a college football fan as well. I love college football in spite of itself. I hate what the powers that be have done with college football. And it's not that it's become corporate and money. Everybody makes money. That's fine. It's the fact that we have compromised competitiveness and competitive balance and meritocracy in this sport for money. And it's as old as college football. I mean, bowls, we talked about like this, the history of the bowls. Who gives a rip? All bowls are an opportunity for old fat men wearing ugly jackets to make money under the guise of a charitable endeavor. Like college football is the only sport in the history of mankind where you can win every game you play and not even have a chance to win a championship because a bunch of goons, self-important losers in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas determine you don't even deserve the opportunity to play for it. No, like let's have a real playoff and play it on the field. That's my opinion. I think we should have 32 and it should be all merit-based. You shouldn't get anything for winning your league because there isn't uniformity in conferences. Like in the NFL, winning your division should matter because those are all professional football teams. In college football, you can't tell me that the SEC and the Big 12 are the same, that the SEC champ should be treated the same as the Big 12 champ or the ACC champ. They're not the same. You have leagues that have different numbers of members, have different scheduling models, have different strengths top to bottom. Like it's just different salary caps. They're not the same. They shouldn't be treated the same. I would love to see a system where we had a power system where it was a 32-team playoff. One plays 32, two plays 31, and so on, like you do in high school and like you do in the FCS and like you do everywhere else. But I digress. The point is, going from 4 to 12 was a step. 12 to 16 would be a step. But if the Big Ten won't come along, then we're at an impasse. College football may remain at 12, which I think would be a detriment to the sport as a whole. Now, with respect specifically to Notre Dame, they are doing what everyone's doing. Notre Dame is lobbying not for what's best for college football. They're lobbying for what's best for themselves. And what's best for themselves is a 5-11 model because Notre Dame not being in a conference, the only way they can get in the postseason is as an at-large team, right? So what would benefit Notre Dame? Having more at-large bids available in the college football playoff. So if you go 5-11, you'd have 5 conference champions, then 11 at-large bids. That's 11 spots for an opportunity for Notre Dame to get in. If you go to the 4-4-2-2-1 model, 4 bids for the ACC, or excuse me, 4 bids for the SEC, 4 bids for the Big Ten. That's 8 gone already. 2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12. That's 12 bids. 1 G5, that's 13 bids. It means there's only 3 more at-large spots. There's 3 at-large spots that Notre Dame would have the opportunity to snag to get into the playoffs. So everyone's looking for access. Every team is looking for access. Why do you think the ACC and the Big 12 are opposed to the SEC and the Big 10 each getting 4 guaranteed spots? Because that's 8 bid. That's half the field taken up by those 2 leagues without the other schools even having an opportunity to approach that number. So I understand everyone is basically lobbying not what's best for college football. They're lobbying what's best for themselves because right now college football is all about its survival, its self-preservation. As you continue to see the SEC and the Big Ten gobble up all of the marquee brands in the sport, all the other leagues are trying to survive, and they have to do so financially. But what's a big way of doing that? Getting payouts and the notoriety of being in the college football playoff. Well, it's hard to do that if 2 leagues are gobbling up all of the spots. Now, if it were merit-based, the SEC and the Big Ten may still do that. But that's the final thing we'll say here, is be careful what you wish for. Because I know that sometimes we just make this assumption. And this happened a year ago when we were going to a 12-team playoff in college football. Where I live in the SEC, there were a lot of people who were assuming, oh, well, the SEC is going to get 4. Are they going to get 5, 6? Are they going to get 7 bids? I went back and looked in every year of the playoff since 2014 when we went to a 14 playoff. And if you used the rankings by year from the college football playoff and just extrapolated to be a 12-team playoff, there were years the SEC would have only gotten 3 or 2 into the college football playoff. The outlier was getting 4. So, yes, the league is expanded now with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, and that can change things, but so too has the Big Ten expanded. The point being, to assume you would get 5, 6, 7 teams into a playoff, even with 11 at-large spots, is a bit foolhardy. As a matter of fact, if you were to do that same exercise, you would find that more often than not, the SEC was still sitting on as a 3-bid league, even in a 16-team playoff. So to just assume blindly that if you went 5-11, that you're going to have more access than the 4 you would be guaranteed, with the opportunity, by the way, for more with the extra at-large spots. It's one of those things where sometimes you have to say, be careful what you wish for. Like if you go back to, let's look at let's go back and look at 2022, for example. In 2022, if you look at the penultimate rankings in college football, that means that those are the rankings before you went into the playoff. Georgia was number 1. Alabama was number 5. Tennessee was number 6. And then LSU was number 17. There was not another SEC team in the field. So if you just go back to 2022, you would have had 3 SEC teams make a 16-team playoff. You want to do another year? Let's go back 1 year further and look at 2021 and how that would have shaken out. In 2021, Alabama was number 1 after they won the SEC championship game. Georgia was number 3. They would have been in. Ole Miss was number 8. They would have been in. And that's it. You would have had 3 in 2021 as well from the SEC. So the point being, I understand what Greg Sankey is thinking and saying that they want the 5-11 model. So, you have more at-large spots. More at-large spots means you can maybe get more than four teams in, as opposed to the Big Ten wants the guaranteed payout of 4 teams. Point is, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes, and history has shown, it's not always going to go that way, especially as more teams start investing more, and in the NIL rev share era, where teams like SMU can buy themselves a roster to be competitive. Look at what Texas Tech is doing right now with the number 2 transfer portal class, and they continue now churning out top 10 recruiting classes because they have the money to do it. There might be more competitive balance from teams you're not expecting because the landscape is changed financially. All this to say, I don't know where this is ultimately going to land. My guess is there's enough financial incentive to go to a 16-team playoff, because if you go to a 16-team playoff, that's more television inventory, that's more media rights deals, that's more money for everyone involved. Ultimately, college football is a money-driven game by the powers that be. They are all looking at ways to increase revenues across the board, like any business would. So I think they're going to find a way to get to 16. If everyone else in college football wants to go to the 5-11 model, and the only impediment is the Big Ten, eventually it feels like the SEC and everybody else will drag the Big Ten across that line, and we'll land on a 5-11 model. That's just my guess. But Notre Dame's athletic director, Pete Bevacqua, he has weighed in on where he stands. Should be no surprise. That's the model that would benefit Notre Dame best. That's the model where Notre Dame is supporting, and we'll see if they can get something done. They'll have to do it quickly, because you do not have a model in place, a new model in place for the 2026 season. So if they're going to change it, it would have to come here in relatively short order. If it does, we'll talk about it here on Overtime with Matt Moscona. Again, thanks for finding the video. Thanks for watching it. Please smash the like button if you would, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. Until next time, it's Overtime with